Welcome everybody to Monday's expert interview. Today we have another awesome show all the way from Australia. We have Martin Fenn on. Martin is the Chartered Institute of. Martin's role at PT Blink is to help his clients innovate their developments, expand local supply chains, and to optimize value by enhancing both offsite and on-site processes. So what are we going to cover today on the expert interview? Well, we're going to talk about the CIOB MMC webinar series that Martin uses and teaches throughout his time, educating industry. We're going to talk about PT Blink and solving the problem. We're also going to talk about the Australian MMC market and sustainability and the circular economy today. But before we do all that, we need to give a big shout out to our sponsors. So thank you to Carson Holmquist and the team at Stream Logistics, experts in high-stakes freight. They are the perfect choice for projects with timelines and a specific delivery sequence. Shipments with high complexity and unique constraints. They have the new methods of delivering projects, and new methods of construction need new transportation solutions, and they are up for the challenge. You want to go check them out at streamlogistics.com. I am telling you, they are the best choice for delivering your next project. Okay, can't get those projects on the trucks without Combi Lift. So big shout out to Combi Lift. They are the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklift and straddle carriers, an acknowledged leader in long load handling solutions, offering free warehouse and site optimization and design services. With more than 50,000 Combi Lift units have been sold in over 85 countries since Combi Lift was established in 1998. So for all your moving needs and all of your lifting needs, reach out to Combi Lift. They are the source for you. All right, let's hop into this. We have Martin Fenn sitting in the background. We don't want to keep him waiting. He's probably a little tired. He's probably a little grumpy. It's early over there in Australia. What's happening, Martin?
Good morning, Dave, or good afternoon. Look, I'm not too grumpy. I've got my cup of coffee going on. Don't know if you can see that. So I'm all happy. Good morning.
He is happy. You don't even know the kind of coffee we were talking about before the show. But this is not Coffee with Dave. We're going to hop into it. Martin, you're going to run us through some great things today. We're looking forward to having you on the show. You are no stranger. You are, as like I say, you do a lot of similar things to what we do here at Dave Cooper Live over in the Australian European market. We have spoken many times. You've been on the show before, and we collaborate on many things. And you know, education is such a big topic for what you do, what the CIOB does. So why don't we talk a little bit about this webinar series that you guys have been hosting? Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. So we've essentially the webinar series is for us to share knowledge, to look at something that's really cool going on across the world, and we share that with the rest of the world through the webinar series. So look, if you look at it last month, we had Mighty Buildings from your neck of the woods. We had them on sharing their 3D printing knowledge, their sustainability knowledge. So the whole theme of the webinar series is really about Industry 4.0, this fourth industrial revolution, how we can keep up with the rapid rate of building without wrecking our planet. And we've had all sorts of really cool stuff on the show. We've had a company in Australia with these robotic demolition solutions that they've actively using in Sydney. That was pretty cool. As I said, we've had Mighty Buildings. We've had Jerry McCaughey on before. So hi, Jerry. And what it is, if there's something that's great happening across the world, we want to interview that person and share that. But it's also to share some of the great things that we're doing over here in Australia. We've had Hickory on. Hickory with their unique modular building system to build some of the high rises over here, like Colin's house up in down in Melbourne. So, and what it is about educating our industry. So we've got a lot of people within an industry who want to know more. We've got some of the newcomers to industry, and it's about really focusing them on these modern methods construction, how we're going to build quicker, faster, and safer in the future. And
So I'm going to touch on this, because I tout it here all the time, how important collaboration is, how important learning is, how important teaching and helping others is. Since you started this webinar series, I mean, it's been what, 2 years now? You've been really going
Mm.
full steam at this. How is the impact? How are you able to tell what that impact's been from where you sit?
Couple of ways. I suppose the easiest way to look at the impact is to look at the feedback from the viewers, to look at the amount of people that you have attending each webinar. We're still riding up at, hitting like 150 turning up each time. It's also, if we look at the Chartered Institute of Building in Oceania, the Australia, New Zealand region, we've got the highest retention in the world of our memberships. So that's another really great way of looking at how successful this webinar series is. Because with modern methods of construction, it's not just highlighting what we can do in the future, what we've done in the past. It's about the here and now. And it's not just about the offsite construction element. Obviously, that is a huge part of it. But it's also the on-site element, how we can enhance the methodologies, materials, etc. on-site to speed up construction, make it safer, more productive.
And how's your lineup looking? I mean, you have a good lineup, right? And it's funny, we often, Martin and I will share contacts of somebody that I have heard of, haven't heard from his neck of the woods, or he does the same. And it's been amazing for us to be able to share that information. And I'm assuming you got a pretty big lineup for the next couple quarters, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, like it's as you know, it's ever changing, but we're trying to mix it up. We're trying to get people in from the States, trying to get people in from the UK, and then people in from Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, to just share what they're doing. As I said, if we see someone who's doing something particularly innovative or pretty cool, we want to interview them. We want to share that across the world because, let's face it, within our industry, people keep a lot of their IP, a lot of their knowledge to themselves. It's their secret sauce. But it's great to be able to share something so that can help the industry in other countries.
But at least share the idea. This this intellectual property conversation. There's a lot of great stuff coming out right now, but we're still only less than 4% of the entire industry. So in my mind, if the intellectual property is so amazing, why are we not the new Amazon, the new Tesla? Why is it not going through the roof? So, but I also understand people are still in testing phase and bringing things out. But to me, all right, we'll see how that goes, and what the IP may or may not be. But it's good that people are driving forward with new IP and bringing new ideas to the table, because that's what it's all about, right? The next best thing, and hopefully it's coming to our industry. All right, tell us about PT Blink and solving the problem. I mean, what do you mean you're solving a problem with PT Blink? You're already solving problems with your webinar series. Now you're working with PT Blink, which is fairly new for you to be there in the last year or so. How's it going? Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Really good. So, when we mean solving the problem, there's lots of problems inherent with the construction industry. So what we're essentially doing, we're building faster, safer, with less waste. But we've got a unique system, a unique structural engineering system that we patent, and we use local manufacturers to build that structural solution. And then we integrate an ecosystem of offsite manufactured parts like facades, services, internal walls, and the like. But the way in which we use our process to deliver this, I would say solving the problem, that to focus on one area, is procurement. The construction industry is very much inherent with friction, people not getting paid, people not getting paid on time. So we look at a holistic view of how the building is actually built. We're not the builder. We're essentially managing the process and providing the technology to build these buildings. And, we're looking at unique procurement solutions so that the offsite manufacturers can get paid when they need to get paid, but also it protects the client. So the client isn't exposed to any risk by paying that manufacturer for those materials or components being offsite.
So PT Blank kind of becomes a middle person then between the client and the manufacturers?
Essentially, yeah. We will, as I said, we're not the manufacturer, we're not the builder.
Yeah.
We would integrate our patented solution, get that manufactured off-site, and then we would bring in the ecosystem, the supply chain for all those other components that make up a building.
Yeah. And so if I were to ask you, what problem are we solving with PT Blank for a manufacturer and a builder? Could you sum it up in a few words?
I would say the construction problem, the design and construct problem, where we have buildings being built over budget, behind schedule, and we're resolving that problem. We're providing the solution.
Providing the solution to the problem. Love it. All right, Australian MMC market. Now, like the United States, your market is growing at a rapid pace when it comes to MMC. You know, it's funny. Here we go. Like, here's the soapbox, right? Modern methods of construction, industrialized construction, modular construction, panelized construction. You name it, everybody has a different term for it. What's happening in your neck of the woods when it comes to this market growing over there?
Yeah, look, we are seeing it growing slowly but surely. I suppose similar to the States. There's it is similar in that I suppose we're about 3 to 5% of the construction industry being offsite construction, modular construction, and the like. It is increasing. Like, for example, we're seeing more healthcare facilities, hospitals, and the like being built through offsite construction. Now, for example, we've got this big issue today, as I spoke to you about. We've got floods. That's right. Floods in New South Wales, floods in Queensland. There's going to be a lot of buildings that need to be replaced rapidly. Now, I can see there being a vast need for offsite construction because those areas have been destroyed with floodwater. There's going to be limited resources and a huge need to provide housing, to provide refuge for these people who've lost their houses. Mm-hmm. So, after the bushfires a couple of years ago, there was a lot of houses destroyed. And to solve that problem, there was numerous buildings being built offsite in factories to replace people's homes. So when you get these natural disasters, it really focuses people in on the benefits of offsite construction. And I can see with the Australian market, we're going to really see in the next couple of years, offsite construction, modern methods construction, increasing in popularity because we've got issues with labor, as I'm sure you guys have. Yeah. We've got a severe shortage of labor over here, skilled labor.
Yeah, we do as well. With all the things that you're doing with PT Blank, with what you're doing with CIOB, your webinar series, your educational stuff, what is the most exciting thing to you that you have come across so far? Is there one particular technology or building type? Is there anything that really has you excited? New material, whatever.
Yeah. Look, I went down to Melbourne on a trip to look at a load of offsite manufacturers just before Christmas. And one thing that excites me is actually 3D printing. I don't know why, but I'm really fascinated by it. And there's an Australian company called Luton, Luyten. They're the first Australian 3D printing company. Mm-hmm. And they're working with the Australian Space Agency and others to look at 3D printing on the moon. Now, as a result, their 3D printers have come out very, very light because they've obviously got to go up in a rocket ship. And because they're very light, they can be pulled with their Toyota Hilux instead of a flatbed. And they're also developing their own secret sauce, their own 3D printing ink that is harder, stronger, and the like than others on the market. And although they're very much in that sort of innovative stage and startup stage, that was something I saw that really excited me because, they've developed something that is unique. And I see 3D printing as having a place. It's not going to certainly take over the construction world, but it's always going to have a special place. And yeah, these guys really innovative, really like that what they're doing.
Yeah, and they're based out of Australia. It seems like there's like smart water being served in Australia lately. There's a lot of a lot of really great technology starting to come out of Australia for whatever reason. Um, and I agree with you. The 3D printing is, I mean, it's pretty amazing what they're able to do now with these machines. And as you said, they're going to get lighter, they're going to get faster. There's going to be different products. You look at the Black Buffalo out of the States here, who's a 3D printer. You look at the company you just mentioned. You look at Sam Rubin and Mighty Buildings and what they're doing. But they're all using a little bit different technology to print with, right? Some are using
Yes.
concrete. Some are using some sort of like polymer. That'd be interesting to see what kind of, they call it an ink, what kind of ink they're printing with, and what that's about.
Yeah, it's exciting times. Yeah, and fascinating. And yeah, these guys, when I rocked up, they were building, they're printing these wall sections, and they were the first. It was going to be the first house in Southern Hemisphere. And look, at some point, I'd love to build a 3D printed house. I'm just fascinated by it.
Yeah. So you said wall panels. Does that mean, are they building full structure or just panels that can be put together on site?
Both,
Both.
both. So they can do both. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Very
yeah.
cool. Very cool. All right. So let's talk about this, because that leads us into sustainability, right? Is it more sustainable to 3D print? We'll see. Sand and concrete. We'll see. Heck, we're running out of that. So it'll be interesting to see what these new materials are. But let's talk about sustainability and the circular economy. Martin, what are we looking at here from your eyes when we talk about this subject? Because it's a big subject.
It is. It is. And I think since the COP26 summit, sustainability is on everyone's lips.
Yeah.
And the way I describe it is, typically in construction, whatever, it used to have, what's referenced as the iron triangle: time, cost, and quality. Whereas now I believe that triangle has evolved more into a square or a diamond shape with sustainability on there. And sustainability is not just the environmental impact,
Right.
it's the social impact as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think particularly as well after COP26, people were highly focused on the embodied carbon content of construction, not just operational.
Right.
So previously people would look at the energy efficiency of buildings and the operational carbon. Now they're looking at the holistic view of embodied carbon and the operational carbon. And when it gets down to the embodied carbon, they're looking at, well, do you demolish a building? Look at the amount of embodied carbon already in that building. If you demolish that building and then you rebuild it,
Yeah.
look at the issue you've caused. So I think there's going to be a big focus on repurposing existing stock. They'll also be looking at buildings that last longer, that are more durable. So throughout their life cycle, they can be repurposed, and their life cycle will no longer be 50 years, for example. It will be, 100 years.
Right.
And they will be looking at, the ways and means of, refitting out that building, making it as efficient as possible so that, that building can stand the test of time and, maybe be a school one, for a few decades. And the next decades after that can easily be fitted out to be, for example, an office block as demographics change, for example.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of these buildings are now being designed to be moved, like you said, and repurposed using tridetic foundation systems that can also be taken out and moved, which are the bracing systems. Yeah, I think, from a circular economy standpoint and the sustainability, the reuse, purpose mentality is definitely really starting to become more and more on the forefront of people. And how do we repurpose and reuse the buildings that we have? How are we more environmentally friendly about the products that we have? Martin, did you know that this is hemp month? It's hemp
Right,
month.
I didn't know it was hemp month. I didn't realize that, but I love hemp. I love hempcrete. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it around for a while, but it seems to be back in focus.
Yeah, hempcrete's definitely coming back in focus, and people have been asking about it. I've had them on the show, and this is hemp month. So hey, listen, if everybody wants to tune in, we got the Hemp Build Network on the show. That's right, Hemp Build Network on the show. Ray Kadari is going to be on this Wednesday, 1 o'clock. So you want to learn about hemp? Come on the show. And, listen, for everybody out there that thinks that you can smoke hemp, you can't smoke hemp.
You just get a headache.
You'll get a headache trying to suck it in because it doesn't burn the way you think it burns. But yeah, but it is still marijuana, right? It's part of the same plant, but it's not the part of the plant that you can have a good time working with. Literally, we're not going to build and smoke at the same time with this stuff. But it is hemp month, and we're gonna have a couple guests on this month for the Hemp Build Network. What do you think about alternative materials right now? Are you seeing the supply chain crisis in Australia the same way we're seeing it here?
Yeah, look, I possibly not at the same volume, but definitely there's alternative materials coming up. I have seen hempcrete come up in Australia. I'd certainly used it about, it must have been 10, 15 years ago in the UK. And I know it's taking off.
Right.
Now I think there's going to be more of this big push to use these sustainable materials within construction, to lower that embodied carbon.
Right.
And, there's, these innovative products coming out. I think, with the existing materials like your concrete, you're going to be seeing lower embodied alternatives coming out, low embodied carbon alternatives coming out, certainly. And it's great people are looking into things like hempcrete and, really pushing it out there and getting it through all the various testing criteria to get, so it can.
Hey, Martin, the network went down. Are you still with me?
Oh, I'm back. There we go.
Yeah, the whole network went down. The big thing's coming up, so it wasn't on our end. That's the thing. There's a lot of weird things happening in the world.
Yeah, look at that.
But, so hempcrete, right? So yeah, I'm back here troubleshooting. I'm like, what in the world happened there? Yeah, with the hempcrete. So there is a place for it, and I think with the supply chain issues that we're seeing around the globe. I mean, it's such an important thing to really keep in mind when you see steel going through the roof and you see building materials going through the roof. It really it opens the door for alternative products to come in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think now a lot of people are more aware of lowering the embodied carbon, operational carbon of buildings.
Yep.
They're more aware of the damage the chemicals and the plastics do to the environment, and it's also the disposal. People are more concerned now about the end of life of the materials of the products. What happens when they end up in landfill? Can they be recycled? Can they be reused and repurposed? Or if they do end up in landfill, how damaging are they? What sort of other elements do they secrete into the ground, for example?
Right. Well, right, exactly it. I mean, the environmental issue isn't just what we see on top of the ground; it's what ends up building up within the soils and the water and everything else that we have out there. So, all right, Martin, before we wrap up today, what do you have coming up that you want to share with everybody? What's exciting? What kind of webinars do we have? What kind of education? Who's your next guest? We want to know it all so we can all come to your platform.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so on March the 16th, we're actually interviewing PT Blink's new US director, Will Watson. So he's ex-Katerra. So we're going to be talking about the key learnings from Katerra that he's taken away, but also we're going to learn a lot about this new word on everyone's lips, Contech, construction technology. So we'll be talking about innovative business models. We'll be talking about vertical versus horizontal integration. Yeah, so that's on March the 16th through the CIOB. So I'll be putting out the flyer actually today on LinkedIn. So please come and join us. Awesome.
Well, cool, Martin. I appreciate you hopping on and joining us today on Dave Cooper Live. It's exciting to hear what you're doing. It's exciting to have somebody like yourself on that side of the world that we can all collaborate with and share knowledge with. So super cool. Appreciate you, man.
No, thanks for having me on, Dave, as ever. Really appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you as well. All right. So you don't go anywhere, Martin. Everybody else out there, we will see you on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's right. We're going to be talking to the Hemp Build Network. They're going to be on the show. We're going to discuss everything that has to do with hemp. So it ought to be a fun show. We always like doing that. And then, of course, Friday, BS Friday with Mark Bear, Naked Willie. We will be talking about building science as we always do. So mark that on your calendar as well. We have some exciting guests coming up throughout, and we will be sharing that with you coming up here shortly. Other than that, Martin, thank you so much, my friend. Everybody else out there, have a wonderful afternoon, and we will talk to you soon. Bye now.
Thanks, Dave.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
everyone.